All right, check, check. Mic levels, test, test. Hello, hello, hello. It's a little lower than normal. What's up with that? Check, 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 check. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. That's good. Um, let's uh, let's get started here. All right. Um, so last time we worked on what did we work? It's been a while. It's been a little bit. The My stream crashed last time. Actually, first I should start off by saying that last time I was streaming, I was on YouTube. I've now switched to Twitch.tv. As you can tell, if you happen to be watching this live or in the archive, um, I am still going to be archiving everything to my YouTube channel. So my Twitch channel is twitch.tv/pkmnfrk. And YouTube is the same, youtube.com/pkmnfrk. And we're going. Both places are perfectly fine to follow me. If you want to catch me live, though, you're gonna have to come over to Twitch now to check it out. There's a couple reasons for that. Um, I think Twitch just gives a better experience for the streamer, and so it's easier for me to sort of use it and stuff like that. But anyway, that's not important right now. Anyway, so the last time I was streaming, um, we were in the middle of starting to implement. I think we were starting to implement rewards in the mod. Just as a to catch you up, if you're in case you're new, the mod that I'm creating is an endgame mod for Minecraft, where um, you're able to um, basically trade a lot of resources that you're probably collecting throughout your play, and basically spend them on fulfilling quests or work orders this in this system. And as a reward for completing this quest, you earn money, and you spend that money on rewards that are unique, hopefully unique, in a couple different ways. Some of the rewards you can get are good for the mod itself, whilst others are more designed for like general Minecraft play. I'm thinking about things like jumping higher, flight, stuff like that. I haven't really settled on exactly what that stuff's going to be, because some of it's easier to implement than others, and I want to try and get some easy stuff out the door first. Um, and so I'm sort of focusing on rewards that are internal to the mod, so making the machines faster, more efficient, that kind of stuff. So after the stream died last week, I kept working on it a little bit. I didn't touch it over the weekend because I got into some other games, and it was also a holiday weekend, so things were weird. But hopefully things are going to be back to normal this week going forward. Um, so let's all together allow me to refresh my memory on where we stand, and with any luck, we'll be able to pick up where we left off. So I was primarily working on the profit on the profit the capital investor, which is this block over here. And so as you can, nope, not this guy. Here, this is the capital investor, which is why I was standing in this weird place. So the capital investor looks a lot like we added this list view to the shipping depot, so you can have icons and tooltips to show what's going on and all that neat stuff. I ported that list over to the capital investor. It works very similar programmatically. There's still a controller that's responsible for creating these list items and drawing them, while the list itself is responsible for scrolling and stuff like that. I've retained the space for icons, I haven't added icons yet because I'm not 100% sure on how I want that to work. If I at the simple level, I could just associate items like Minecraft items with these rewards and just draw that, or I could create custom icons for these things. Um, I like I said, I'm still haven't quite figured out how all this is going to work, so I don't know yet. We'll figure that out later. I also added so I added a fluid gauge. So the way this machine is supposed to work is that you get money from your profit materializer, which every tick, as it says here, it'll create 5 millibuckets of money when you have profit remaining. You then pump that money into the capital investor, and it fills up to 50 buckets worth of money. And then each of these rewards costs a certain amount of money. So to buy rank 2 of smaller work orders, it's going to cost me 2 millibuckets, or 2,000 millibuckets. And I have 20,000 and change, so I can go ahead and buy that. And now there's only 18,000 millibuckets left. And the rank to purchase has gone up to 3. And the cost has gone up as well. So that's really how this all works. This dialogue is a little bit taller than the other dialogues. It's hard to notice, but if you look here, the top of the dialogue is lined up with the top of this parenthesis, whereas if I open this one's a little bit above it. Basically, I made enough room for this row for the fluid gauge and the buy button, and I'm thinking about I might use this layout for other stuff as well. Like the shipping depot, which doesn't have a fluid gauge in it, but it does have this progress bar. So that may or may not be useful. Again, as with everything else, we'll see as we move on. I don't think I'm going to redo any of the GUIs for the initial release, but you never know. So that said, what is left here? I've implemented the faster generation reward. You can buy all these rewards, and it'll save your progress, and they'll save your ranks and all that stuff. But smaller work orders and extra profits have not actually been implemented yet. They don't do anything. So that actually might be where I left off. There's also some UX tweaks that I might need to make, like smaller. Like this is butting right up against the tooltip icon. It might be worthwhile to figure out a way to fix that. One thing that's interesting to note is that if I go into the options and force the Unicode font on, that makes everything smaller, and that means there's a lot more room in here. I'm wondering if there's a way for us to force that on for our dialogue, or use a custom font or something like that, in order to always have this extra room, because not having this extra room could be a problem later, especially if we get into things like custom rewards where people can put arbitrary titles in that I can't control. That might be useful, just to make a little bit of extra room. But for now, I think let's focus specifically on the implementation of those rewards, and that'll at least be some forward progress. So smaller work orders. So I forget if I actually showed off what a reward looks like in the back end. Basically, inside the Minecraft jar, I have this file called rewards.json, and that lives inside the rewards folder, inside our asset bundle. And basically, when the mod boots up, it reads this JSON file in, and basically constructs a list of all the possible rewards based on that. By default, each reward maps onto a specific class. Most of the time, it's going to be the generic reward class, What this does, this sort of wraps specifically a reward that is just a number that goes up. Like, for example, lower quest requirements. Um, every rank you purchase, up to 5 ranks, increases a value by 5. And what that value actually means is not actually relevant to the reward itself. It doesn't actually know anything about what this 5 means. That's up to whoever's implementing the reward to care about. What it knows is that it starts out at 5 and goes up by 5 every time you purchase. And you can have a maximum of 5 instances. So there's a maximum of 25 value here. If we take a peek into the language file for this, you'll see that this looks a lot like the quest language file, in that there's title and description. If we look at lower quest requirements here, I've actually called smaller work orders. Reduce work order demands by %s %%. What this means is this %s is a placeholder, and it means put a number in here, or put a string in here. And if you look at the live game, and you look at smaller work orders, it says reduce work order demands by 15%. And that 15 is being substituted in here the way other placeholders are. So reduce work order demands by 15, and then this % here is just means put a literal percentage sign in, because the % normally means that there's a placeholder, so replace this % placeholder with a %. That sounds probably confusing, but that's what it is. You don't have to worry about it too much. That's just what it is. And so the other one, so extra profits works the same way. Generate an extra blank % profit for work order completion. So in this case, generate an extra 5% profit for work order completion. Same thing. The extra profits is also defined as just a general reward with a value. The faster generation reward is a little bit different. I'm specifying a specific class here. This is our fractional reward class, and this is very similar to the way that the other rewards work in terms of cost. I didn't talk about cost, but basically cost means we start at 1,000 millibuckets, and every rank we multiply that by 2. And here we start at 1,500, we multiply it by 2. So 1,500, 3,000, 6,000, so on. For fast generation, it's actually a little bit different. Here it's add. We start at 500 and we add 500 every time. So 500, 1,000, 1,500, and so on. That part is shared. That's the same with the generic reward. But what the fractional reward does is it actually deals with fractions. So if you look here, the base value is specified as 2/8, or 2/8, or also known as 1/4. I specify 2/8 specifically because each time we rank up, we add 1 to the numerator of this fraction. And so what that means is that the first time you purchase this, it goes from 2/8 to 3/8, and then from 3/8 to 4/8, and 5/8, and so on, up to 10 times, for a maximum of 12/8. Now, and then obviously that's simplified from 12/8 to 3/2 or 1.5, depending on how vulgar you like your fractions. And what that means is that, well, as far as the reward is concerned, that's where it ends. But the way that I have implemented this reward into and what this reward does is gives the profit materializer faster working speed. As you can see here, allow the profit materializer to generate %s millibuckets every %s ticks. And if you think about how Minecraft machines work, basically, every certain amount of ticks, they do a thing, which is exactly what this says. By default, our profit materializer generates 2 millibuckets every 8 ticks. So every 8 ticks, it'll generate 2 more millibuckets of money. In practice, it's actually 1 millibucket every 4 ticks. But that's actually a hint as to what's actually going on here. I'm using a fraction to determine those properties. So when you buy 1 rank of faster generation, that 2/8 increments to 3/8, and now it's 3 millibuckets every 8 ticks, or a 50% increase. If you buy it again, suddenly that's 4/8, and now it's generating 1 millibucket every 2 ticks, instead of 2 every 8 ticks. And so that gives you a nice scaling reward the more you buy it, in a way that makes sense for a machine. If I didn't do this, if it was just a flat value, then it would mean that it's every 5 ticks generate 1 millibucket, 2 millibucket, 3 millibucket. And I think this scales a little bit differently from that. Maybe mathematically it doesn't. I'm not sure. But actually it scales a lot. It doesn't scale quite as fast as if I was just incrementing the amount of fluid every tick or something like that. Because this goes from essentially 1/4 millibucket per tick to 1.5 millibuckets per tick over 10 ranks. So it doesn't seem like a super powerful. It's not as powerful as it would be as if it was 8 millibuckets every tick or something like that. But it's still a significant upgrade from where it starts. And so I think I'm pretty happy with that. So that was pretty complicated to add, just because fractions are weird. Luckily, there are classes built in or included already that deal with fractions. So I didn't have to do too much work there. But adding these other rewards should actually be pretty easy. So let's actually get started on that. The code. So this is not going to be a particularly challenging task. Basically, all we need to do is go into the places. So let's start with lower quest requirements. Reduce work order demands by a percentage. And so all we have to do is go into the code where we generate work orders, and that's where we're going to add this bonus. And where that happens is inside the corporation class. This class is sort of responsible for a lot of the behind the scenes effort, like a lot of the behind the scenes functionality. This is where profit is stored. This is where quests are generated. This is where this class is responsible for saving all that data when you quit and stuff like that. And right here is where we create new work orders. We basically pass a quest in, and out comes a specific instance of that quest. And that basically right here is where we determine how much we want. And so what we actually want to do is we want to subtract 25, we want to figure out what the bonus is and subtract that many from the quantity. So you might wonder where exactly to put that code. Here, there's a method here called getCount4Level, and at first blush, that seems like that would be a good place to put it, but actually, it's not, because this class is inside the quest class, which is sort of the idealized version of all the possible quests in the game, and it doesn't actually know anything about who's getting this quest. All it knows is that a level 1 quest has a certain probability for different range values, and that someone else is going to have to tell it what level to generate. It doesn't know anything about the corporation. Pardon me. As a result, this is not a good place to put our corporation-specific bonus. So let's actually go back to here. And actually, I think exactly right here is where we're going to put it. So first thing we need to do is get the bonus. And so the way this works is that we get the value out of the quest. So we're going to call this lower, what's it called? Lower quest requirements. So lower quest requirements equals get, rank, and reward. And basically, all this does is look up how many times that this reward has been purchased. We're going to pass the ID in that we got that is specified in our JSON file. Whoops, and then I got to close the file. And now this is going to have a value from 0 to 5, depending on how many ranks we have. And then we just need to get the value end. And so we have a separate class called Reward Manager, which is a singleton. We want to get the reward with lower quest requirements, like that, and get values for rank, lower, and pass in the value for what we have. I'm thinking I should probably have a helper method to sort of wrap this, but we can add that later. So it's saying here that this might crash with the null pointer exception, because it's possible that the reward I pass in might be null. I know that that's probably not going to happen, but I should still account for that. So maybe actually I am going to put a helper method in to take care of that. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Sorry, actually, I forgot something. This get values for rank is actually not for this purpose. That's actually just for when I'm generating the label for here. That's when I would use that method. I would call get values for method for rank and pass those values in to the tooltip. Here, I just know that it's times 5%. So lower quest requirement. So I'm going to call this float. Reduction will be lower quest requirements times 0.05 float. And so this will be a value from 0.05 to 0.25. And then all we need to do, actually let's make it there. So it'll be a value from 1.05 to 1.125. And then we just need to divide quantity by that. And that'll reduce our values. The only other thing we need to do is cast this back to integer. Why do you do that? We're going to round up when we're doing this, so that if we get a situation where this value is so low that it's less than 1, we still get at least 1 and not 0, which would be bad. That would be a failure here. So if quantity, let's say quantity is 100 for whatever, and our lower quest requirement rank is 5, which translates into a reduction of 25%. So quantity divided by 25. Let's check out calculator real quick. 100 divided by 1.25 is 80. That's not right. That's not how math works. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's not how math works. What I want to do is do 1 minus this. So instead of getting 1.25 out of this, I want 0.75 out of it. And then I can do that, and then I can multiply. So quantity is 100. This is 5. Therefore, this is 0.25. Therefore, 1 minus 0.25 is 0.75. 100 times 0.75 is 75, which is exactly what I would expect. As an example of why this is important, let's say that the quantity was like 4, or let's say it's 3 for something that's possibly very expensive. If we do 3 times 0.75, that's 2.25. No, that wasn't a good example. If it's 1, which potentially is the lowest possible value, 1 times 0.75 is 0.75. We want to round up, not down. I guess that's the only case where it would matter. You know, rounding up or rounding down actually probably doesn't make a huge difference. So we'll leave it as it is. And if for some reason it does make a difference, then we'll readdress it. What's important is that we're never going to go above where we started. So our reward is never going to be a punishment. So that's fine. Yeah, so that's really all that is going to be. While we're at it, let's implement extra profits. Generate an extra 5% profit for work order completion. And so that's actually going to happen very close to here. That's actually going to happen right down here, right below it. So what we're going to do is basically do exactly the same thing. We're going to add a variable to hold our ranks in the extra profits reward, like that. We're going to add this multiplier, extra profit times 1.05. This time we do want this to be 1.05, and then we'll just do profit equals profit times profit increase, like that. And this time we'll round down. Although, again, there's a difference of plus or minus 1 millibucket. You know, let's round up, because it doesn't really matter. Like I said, we'll be nice. And that's really both of those rewards added. I should be able to recompile right here, and it should refresh the game. So I currently don't have any ranks in extra profit. So right now our profits should be exactly the way they started. 341 profit of 0. Okay, so that suggests that something's going wrong here. Oh, you know what? It's because, yes, I made there's a small error here. Right now, because I have 0 ranks in extra profit is 0. 0 times 1.05 is 0, and then profit times 0 is 0. So that's bad. So I did make another mistake here. This should be like that. So that even if we started with 0, we're not going to nullify all our profits. Which is really exactly the same thing we're doing up here. Just going down instead of going up. Oops. So we can recompile here. And then check make a request. All right, we see profit again. Trying to test the lower quest requirements reward is a little tricky because it's not necessarily obvious. So there's a random factor here. As you can see, right now it wants 2,691 bones. But if I generate it again, now 2,911. And if I do it again, it'll be 1,922. So it can swing pretty wildly. So we're gonna test this the old-fashioned way with a breakpoint. I believe I have 3 ranks in that right now. Yeah, 3 ranks in smaller work orders. So everything should go down by about 15%. So let's take a look. So right now, by default, it's picked a value of 3,082 bones to fulfill this quest. That's what our quantity is set to. Now we get our reward level, which should be 2. Yeah, we have 2 ranks, not 3, which is possibly an issue with our reward system. That's not obvious. So maybe I display that we have I display level 3 rank in the profit, in the capital investor, but maybe I should actually show the current rank instead of the next rank, if that makes sense. But we'll deal with that afterwards. So because we have rank 2, and that's times 0.5, so that should give us a total of 0.9 reduction, which is what it shows here. Yeah, 0.9, 3,082 times 0.9 should be about 2,800 and change. 2774. So that looks correct. Our profit is going to be 336 for this. We should have 0 extra ranks. That's correct. So our profit increase is 1.0. 332 times 1 is 332. Or 336 rather. So that's correct. And then we'll just resume and see that that's exactly what we got. But if I go over here and buy a rank of extra profits, and let's buy another one. Let's just keep buying them until I run out of money. Alright, now it's cost 12,000 and I only have 8,000. So we have rank 3 of extra profits. And let's generate this quest again, and we should get a little bit more money for our trouble. We'll step through all that because we already know it's fine. So profit 331, rank 3 in extra profits, which is a 1.15 increase. And therefore, we end up with 381 instead of 331. Pretty good. Hard to see what exactly the difference is in the UI, but it is it is there. And let's just do it one more time just to make sure. 331, 381. Wow, I got the exact same value each time. That is also a little bit randomized. Is it actually randomized? Hang on. Oh, it's not actually randomized currently. It's based on logarithms and stuff. But I might actually make it a little bit more random later. But anyway. So we're done here, so let's get rid of that breakpoint. And we just do it a couple more times just to sort of stress test it a little bit. 370, 365, 370, 365. Yeah, that's looking good. I'm going to add a little bit more money with my black card. That's going to cause our profit materializer to start going. This is pretty upgraded here because I have rank 8 or rank 9 in. You know, I thought I made it show the current rank somewhere. Yeah, I have rank 8 in faster generation, and I can buy rank 9 and then rank 10 for once I get back up to 5,000, which will happen pretty soon. This should have gone up. 5, 4. No, that's right. So when I had rank 8, there'd be 10 over 4. 10 over 8? Yeah, 10 over 8. Or 5 over 4. But still 5 over 4. What? Nine plus 2 is 11. 11 over 8. Right now, this should be 11. This should be 11 millibuckets per 8 ticks. Is that? Oh, you know, this might have been something my memory is being jogged. This might be a bug. If I relog, that'll fix itself. Basically, the profit materializer doesn't realize that a change has occurred and doesn't know to update itself. Yeah, now it's at 11 over 8. Which makes it look slower, but it's doing more each time. So it is technically faster. Um, this is going to take a little bit of time to generate, so we'll leave that for now. 377, 373, 383, 389. Yeah, so things are, the profit's looking a little bit higher even now. So I'm going to say that looks like that's working pretty good. Where are we in terms of the source code? That's the wrong repo. Oh yeah, just here. So let's implement the extra profit and lower quest requirement rewards. And then I guess we should figure out if there's a way to fix this. So I do remember trying to fix that, and I thought I did fix it, actually. Evidence suggests otherwise, but let's take a look. So basically, in the capital investor tile entity, which again is the class that's responsible, not the capital investor, I'm sorry, the profit materializer. The tile entity is the class that handles the minute-to-minute operation of this block. I added this event here on rewards changed. And so basically, what I expect is that anytime, so basically this event fires anytime anybody buys any upgrades. And essentially what we check is to make sure that if the person who did that was the same person who owns this block, and the reward is fast generation, let's double check that that's correct. Right here, fast generation. Yeah. Then we update our speed from this calculate speed method. And calculate speed basically defaults to 1/4, but basically looks up the reward and does the same thing we were doing before, calculating the correct value, which is 2 plus the rank over 8. So there's 2 possibilities for this bug. Either this, or 3 possibilities actually. Either this reward is not firing, or one of the event parameters is incorrect. The owner, whoops, the owner or the reward is not correct, or all this stuff is correct and calculate speed is wrong. I know calculate speed normally functions correctly because that's how I use that to initialize the block, and we saw that it did in fact update once I relogged. But calculate speed is it possible that when I get the current rank, that's incorrect? I'm not sure. So let's drop a breakpoint here, and let's drop a breakpoint. We don't need to drop one here. That should be fine. And let's buy a reward here. Actually, well, I guess I can buy this, but I only have 1 rank left. I added a command that should, or we're going to need to add a command, I think, to reset our rewards for testing purposes, because I'm going to run out of rewards here. But for now, let's just go with this. And that event did not fire. Okay. Well, that is highly unfortunate. I guess we need to figure out why. So we'll leave that then, and go back to let's go back to our tile entity for the capital investor. And right here is where this is supposed to happen, in purchase reward, but it's actually inside corporation. So purchase reward, let's drop a breakpoint here, and then buy smaller work orders, I guess. And so now we're paused. We are on the server, which is good. I just noticed I don't check for that. Oh, I think that might be impossible actually. So that's fine. So we get the reward, which is lower quest requirements. We check to see if it's null. It's not. We check what the current rank is. Right now it's 2. We check to make sure that we're not trying to buy something that has too many ranks. And then we basically just sort of update our record. Now we're up to 3. And we post a new event with this thing. So why? Well, I guess I'll step through the logic for this method. This is internal to Forge. This is not my code. So I doubt there's a bug here because I've rarely run into issues in Forge itself. Usually I'm using it wrong. But what we should expect to see is our capital investor, rather our shipping depot, might be registered wrong or something to that effect. So let's just see. So how many listeners are there in total? There's 3. Is there just 3? Capital investor and another capital investor. Now that's interesting. I have 2 capital investors registered and no one else. That is, first off, there's only 1 capital investor in the world, so that's wrong. And I know that my title entity should be there, so that is also wrong. Well, I wonder what these are. I wonder which of these is my real one, and which is the one in which is I don't even know what the other one would be. This one has ID of 19381. And so if you look at our listener list, 19381, oh, these are both containers, not tile entities. Why are there 2 containers? Now that's even weirder. Okay. Is it possible that this signature is wrong for our shipping, our profit materializer? Public void corporation rewards changed event. So I guess, yeah, the container, so the container that we saw is this class right here. Basically, this is the GUI. When we buy an option in the capital investor GUI, we want the GUI to update, and the container is where you handle that, as I've explained in previous streams. And so I know that this is working because, sure enough, when we buy it, the UI updates. So this is correct, and we saw it in the listener list. And I believe that this was highlighted because I copied and pasted the entire thing into this other class. So that should be right as well. To make an event, to add an event handler, you actually need 2 things. You need the method here, which is what I've added, but you also need to tell the event system that there's a listener here in the first place. And I added some code to my tile entity hierarchy that's supposed to register all classes, all of my tile entities as event listeners. And so I'm wondering if maybe that didn't happen. I wonder if there's a way for me to inspect the list of all listeners, which is probably right here. There's obviously a lot of stuff in here, but let's see if we can find our specific, if I can find my tile entity in here. There's a lot of Ender.io stuff. a lot of Ender IO. I'm not sure what all these actually mean. It's possible that here's Wayla. I don't see anything referencing my own classes. Oh, here it is. Oh, here's one. Common proxy. It's possible I have to drill down into some of these ones that are empty to find what I'm looking for. Client proxy, mod items. I hope I don't. Oh, container capital investor. That's mine. I wonder if I need to, I might need to add strings to these things to make it easier to find. But yeah, the container should have should do that. It knows how to identify itself. Well, either way, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be able to find it pretty quickly. Maybe not. Actually, I'm going to take a different approach because this is going to take forever. Instead of groveling through there, let me go to the place where I do register my tile entities, and just put a breakpoint there. And actually, if you look here, you'll note that I already have breakpoints on those places, which I did not hit when I was loading everything. So actually, oh no, these are not real breakpoints. Actually, these are only logging to my console. So actually, if I look up, I should see onload, onload, unload. So actually, this is everything. Let's change that a little bit and reload the game. And hopefully, I guess the best case scenario, the most straightforward scenario is that we won't see the capital investor, and that means that we never got registered. It's possible that that won't happen. We'll see it, and then I'm not sure where we stand. But we'll address that in a moment when we see it. It'd be nice if this was not didn't take quite so long. All right, let's take a look. So I see Yeah, first thing on the list is our Prophet Materializer. Although, I also see an unload afterwards, which is where I unregistered them, which I forgot to tag. So let's actually, I'm not going to reload the whole game. Basically, this unload is supposed to take care of the event when you quit like I just did. It looks like it's firing way too early, which is a little weird. But let's load back in and see if these things are actually unloading themselves. Okay, so now that's weird. It's loading itself, and then a moment later it unloads itself. I'm actually not sure what this is supposed to mean. It's possible so that because there's no way for me, so okay. What's going on here is that I want to look at the, anytime you unload the game, anytime I register an event manually like this, I want there to always be an unregister somewhere after it. Otherwise, what would happen is that if I'll register my tile entity, you'll play the game, everything will be fine. Then at some point you quit, and maybe you load a different game or join a server or something. And this class will still be registered in the game. The game doesn't know that it's safe to remove it, and so it'll leave it in by default. And then now this class, this tile entity that was loaded into a previous world, will be loaded into some other world. And it's possible that you might load in and out a couple times, and there'll be a bunch of them. If they could crash, if they try and access the world that no longer exists, or they could just use a memory and processing power doing something useless. Who knows? A lot of things could happen. And so there's no other way for me to tell that I should unregister myself other than the world itself going away. And yet, it's telling me that it's unloading the world immediately after loading it. And so, which sort of jives with what it says here, unloading dimension -1, unloading dimension 1. -1 being the nether, and 1 being the end. So maybe I actually need to be a little bit more smart here. Maybe instead of just blindly unregistering myself, I go if event.world get world equals my world, the world that I know of, that's when I should unload myself. Let's try that out. Let's see what that does. And let me just clear this log to make it a little bit easier to see. And then we load back in. And there's our load. And that's exactly what it was. Because I don't see the unload. But I bet if I quit, that's when it unloads. Alright, so that's actually what was going on. So that was not a huge deal. Only act on the unload if it's the world we care about. Now, what if the machine is in fact in the nether, which is entirely possible? Well, that means that when we get it here, when it loads dimension -1, the nether, it'll load the machine in the nether. We'll get the unload for it, and then when it unloads again over here, we'll get the unload for that here, which is the correct place. Because once I actually go back to the nether later, then it'll register itself again. And we can see that if I were to actually go to the nether right now and try it. So let me get, I guess I can use any of these. Let me quickly build a portal to the nether. And unlock some recipes. We'll make it nice and big for testing. Thinking about this, I am seeing a potential problem. Maybe. This might be a problem, might not be, depending on when on load is called. Right now, well, let's just try it. So let me put the machine down. Okay, it did. It loaded it. So it registered itself for events, and then I'm going to go ahead and quit it. And so the one we just added was this guy, ending with 189, and that corresponds to this guy right here. Of course, now I'm in the Nether. I should have gone back to the overworld. I think we'll see the reverse of what we've seen before. So we load everything. These IDs are going to be different now. And we load this guy over here for some reason. It didn't unload the overworld stuff the way I thought it would. Maybe because I'm near the spawn. That might be it. I don't have a chunk loader put down or anything. On chunk unload. Oh yeah, I do have an event for that as well. Let's try again one more time from the overworld, just to see if it does what I was expecting. This is probably irrelevant. I just want to double check anyway, just to make sure. It didn't. Interesting. What did I put in the Nether? Was it Prophet Materializer? I think it was. Because I have two of them here. And I'm pretty sure I only have one of them on the overworld. Oh no, I do have two. So I must never have loaded it in the first place. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. Not a big deal. It seems to be working the way I want it to. 3 per 2 ticks, yeah, so that looks correct. I don't have enough to buy anything else to double check that the event is actually going to fire, but actually looks like we'll be above enough right now for this. And hey, there's our, oh, this is our corporation method. And did you not fire still? Oh, I didn't have a breakpoint. Shoot. Ugh. 12,000, 16,000. All right. For the purposes of testing, I'm going to bump this cost down a little bit, which is not going to take. So there's a couple things I need to do to make this take effect without restarting everything. First is that I need to go to my source folder and grab the reward file from here, and then basically I'm going to copy it to when I build the mod, it puts everything in an out folder, and this is actually where the game is running from. And so if I replace that like that, now the live copy is changed. The game still doesn't know about it because it does not look at the disk every time. And this is where I added a command to reload rewards on the fly. And now this should be very cheap. Yeah. So we don't need this breakpoint anymore, because we know that part works. Here's our reward. On rewards changed. Event.owner. So this should be true. Can I just... That should be true. False. Why? Oh, this profit. This is okay. So there's a couple. Like I said, there's a couple profit materializer. This one is not owned, so we don't care about it. Now this one should be owned. Yeah, this one's owned because again, there's two of them. So this event's gonna fire twice, so that all of them can update their state if they need to. But now that should be true, and then reward ID is lower quest requirements. dot fetch generation. So this part's going to be false. I don't need to check that. All right, so that looks like that's working correctly, which is good. And yeah, and the GUI was also working properly, so that's fine. Let's see. So let's go ahead and commit that. And make sure that that's saved. Oh, I'm not going to commit the JSON change because that was just a test. Fix event unregistration to only fire when the current world unloads, not just any world. Okay, cool. So now that's in. So that leaves a question. That leaves a question of what I'm going to do next. I probably should add a command to reset these rewards because there's no way I'm basically out of stuff to buy, and I won't be able to test it anymore in the future. I would have to like delete the whole corporation, start over, and there's not even a command to do that. So let's actually go ahead and do that. I don't know. There's a car honking in the background. I hope that you cannot hear that. As everybody probably knows, school just started again, and it sounds like the kids are coming home from school, which means that there's a school bus probably in the in front of my apartment building, blocking the road, and someone's probably honking with that. I'm gonna double check real quick because I'm curious. It's actually even dumber than that. There's a school bus trying in the driveway of my apartment building who can't get out because there's a van blocking it. Which is unfortunate. Command. So let's close this stuff because I don't need it right now. And find our command class. Here. So all my commands are sort of built into this one class here. I don't know if this is standard practice or not, but I don't see every reason to have multiple of these. Because I think this is cleaner. Because basically each instance of this iCommand interface represents a different top-level command, but as you can see, you have the ability to add subcommands to stuff. So even though I have Megacorp, the actual command is reload rewards, and you can see that if you just hit Megacorp by itself, it'll tell you what the options are. So we're going to go ahead and add another command here. And we're going to call this set reward level. I guess in principle I could. Well, we'll add a couple different commands here. Set reward level. We're going to put a helper method. That'll be the equivalent of setting all rewards to nothing. We'll put clear rewards. And I guess for now that's fine. There's definitely more commands I want to add, but these will do for now. So I have I'm not going to get too into detail here because it's pretty boring. But basically I have a mapping between subcommands and the actual methods that implement those commands. So I don't need to do a bunch of glue code to do a bunch of weird parsing. It sort of does as much as it can automatically and without me having to do anything. And then all I need to do is go down here and add a method that actually implements it. So let's copy and paste the one method I have already. This will be set reward level. And then one more time, and this will be clear rewards. And so what this command is going to be is it's going to be megacorp set reward level, and then it'll be the reward ID, and then the level. So by the time the command gets to this point, we have arguments here, but it won't contain megacorp, and I don't think it'll contain set reward level. So yeah, we stripped that part out. So it'll only contain reward ID and level. So string reward ID equals args0, and string reward level is going to be args1. And actually, let's do integer.parse int args1, like that. And then I think all we should need to do is oh yeah, so then we also need to figure out what corporation this actually applies to. So we get that from the person who's sending this. So the sender, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the sender is going to be this should be the player, I think. I'm wondering if I can figure that out somehow. I know how to figure that out. Let's put a breakpoint here and just reload our rewards again. And then sender is, yeah, the player, entity player MP. So using that knowledge, we can get the player's ID, and from the player's ID, we can get the corporation. Actually, I don't even need to do tricks here. Or do I? Yeah, I do. It does not want to tell me what the player's ID is. Okay, so so all we need to do is cast sender to entity player NP and call get unique ID, and that's the ID we need to use. Then we do corporation manager get instance for a world. Ooh, sender.world. I think that's what I want. Get corporation for owner of ID. I think this is all correct. I will need to. All right. So by default, my API returns an I corporation. Here, because I want to manipulate the internals, I'm casting it directly to corporation, so that I can set some more variables. But I don't have a way to do this operation directly yet. So let's add a small method to do that. Oops. And it's basically going to be a very simple this. It's going to be that. Actually, we'll make it a little bit more robust. We'll say that if if the reward you're trying to do doesn't exist, we'll throw an error instead of just doing it, which won't harm anything, but better that the user knows they made a mistake. And then the only other thing we do, actually there's two things we want to do. So first off, we should validate the command parameters that get sent in before we try and use them. Because if they didn't actually pass in a reward ID or a level, then this is going to crash, which is bad. So we'll say that if args.length is less than 2, then we'll print the usage, which is going to look a lot like this. Like that. Similarly, if this throws an error, we want to catch it and not just crash. And it can throw a illegal argument exception. And for that, we just want to pass. We'll pass the message directly to the user for now. We might pretty this up later. But assuming we get through all that, then we print done instead. Actually, there's one more thing we need to catch. Get corporation for owner will return null, I think. So if corp equals null, then what we'll do is we'll print one more message that says you don't own a corporation. And that's all. I guess we should also catch the case that this is not an integer. Does this throw if it fails? Yeah, it does. So actually, let's move this try all the way up here to catch all of this stuff. And then we can catch the number format exception, at which point we're just going to print the level once again. What doesn't it like about it's already been caught? Oh, turns out the number format exception extends illegal argument exception. So we need to move this up here so he gets caught first. More specific, and then the more general one. One thing I'm explicitly not going to check is that this level is correct. This level, I should check that it's greater than 0, or greater than or equal to 0, but I don't want to check to see if it's a max or not. And the reason is because it's similar to enchantments, where you can have enchantments that are above the normal maximum, and that's totally fine with the game. The limits are just artificial limits, and I think for the most part, my rewards are very similar. The limits I'm imposing are artificial, not like technical limits. And so if someone wants to set their extra profit to 500%, sure, go for it. There might even be ways to do that in the game with different tiers of reward or something like that. So I'm fine with that. If level is less than 0, then send the message level is invalid. Alright, so that should catch everything. For the other command, our clear rewards, this should be a little bit simpler, because this is just, there's not going to be any arguments to this. It's just that. And it'll implicitly reset all the rewards you have. You do still need to have a corporation. So let's copy that part out. Oops, why did that happen? Pardon me, but that's really all that's going to be. Oh, there is something that we need to do. Oh, that I'm even not doing right now. Right now, the corporation isn't marking itself as dirty. And what that means is that these changes may not be being saved. I think they are, but by accident. But that's bad. I should be doing this. Anytime I make a change to this, so if I don't, so basically, the way that this works is the manager, which is the corporation manager in this case, this is actually implementing an interface called World Save Data, and this is a class that Minecraft Forge provides, which gives us basically arbitrary data attached to a given save file, and it will manage saving all that data for us. We just need to tell it anytime this data changes, so that it can save it to disk periodically, and then I don't need to worry about it other than that. But because I wasn't marking anything as dirty, it may not have been saving. I'm not sure where it might be. It might have still been being saved because it was being called somewhere else. Somewhere else might have been marking it as dirty. I'm not sure, but that's not a good. I think because I had the profit materializer going, and it's deducting profit, and that's causing it to mark it as dirty. If I bought a reward and nothing was going on, and then quit, it would not have been saved. But now it will, because I've added this mark dirty command in. So what else do we need to do here? So you don't have corporation, clear rewards. That should be it then. There's still an error in here somewhere. Ooh, right. I need to get the ID for the player. So let's copy this part. And now you're satisfied. And this whole file is satisfied. And if I compile it, it's going to be satisfied, but it's going to complain that it can't reload it because I added some new methods, which is totally reasonable. So let's go ahead and save and quit and restart from the beginning. Assuming that this works correctly, then I think that we're going to be done. Not entirely sure. But I think that might be it for today. Just because I'm not actually sure what's next. I need to think about that a little bit more. Yeah, let's double check. All right, so let's see here. Oh, you know, there is something I didn't add. I forgot about, which I should add before we do anything else, and that is that I want to post events saying that this stuff is changing. So so here, set reward level, that's easy because we're only changing one reward. For this, basically, I need to post an event for every single thing, every single reward. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll post the event. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll figure out which events we need to post first. Then we'll do that here. Calculate events. Then we'll clear the log, and then we'll post the events. That way, by code that relies on the event already, the change already having been taken place, we'll see that change. If that makes sense. So I think what I can do is use a stream. And map each, nope, not map, map each key to first filter out ones that are already 0. Reward log that get k greater than 0. Map those to new corporation reward change event of owner. The reward ID is k in this case, and the new rank is 0. I think that's all right. Oops, this is not C#, it's Java. Okay. So now this should have, so if you're not familiar with Java streams, which is fair, basically what I'm saying is for me to get all the keys, so the reward log is where I store all the reward data, obviously. Get all the keys, which are the reward IDs that I have stored data on. Turn it into a stream. Remove any rewards that are currently less than or equal to 0, because those are automatically applied to be 0. And for each one, create a new event object here, and then collect them all into a list and persist it. If I would just want to post them all, I could remove this part, and then basically just post this event stuff. But streams are lazy, which means that they're not. By the time we get here, this has not actually made a list. That would not have made a list, and as a result, you wouldn't see the. As a result, when I go down to here to clear it, then suddenly this stream would be empty because it hadn't actually done the work yet. And so when I get down to post events, I say, all right, for each item in the stream, do a thing. There won't be any items left to do. So I need to collect them into a list first, and then work on that list. And all that's going to be is this. In principle, I could, instead of creating the events here, I could just save the IDs and then make new objects here. I don't think it really matters much. I'm not gaining anything by doing that. I'm not really getting anything by doing it one way or the other, I think. But I should mark dirty before the event so that it's saved. Okay. So having done that, now I should be able to go back over here. And so right now the only reward I have to purchase is extra profits. And so this is set to 3 per 2 ticks, and so on. So let's do, I do need to compile. Compile, reload. Oh, did I add a new method? I don't know why it won't let me reload. Okay, well, I guess we need to reload. Not a huge deal. I wonder if it's because I added these lambdas. These might trigger new methods or something behind the scenes. I'm not sure. Technically, all this stream stuff is kind of a little overkill. I could just as easily have blah, blah, blah. I could just have as easily done it the old-fashioned way. All right, so back to where we started. Megacorp. So if I just do that, then it shows all these different subcommands. I am seeing a bit of a formatting issue. I should probably put a space in between these things, but that's not a huge deal. Megacorp set level. So which one do I have left? I have extra profits. And so it's set level first, set reward level, extra profits, and we'll set that to 4. And now it's showing that we have level 5 as the next thing to purchase, which is correct. If I set level 5, then it shows that there's nothing to purchase, which is also correct. If I set it to 1, then number 2 is ready to purchase. Here, this profit materializer is showing 3 for every 2 ticks. Let's go ahead and clear our rewards. And now it's showing 1 per 4 ticks. And these are all back again. Cool. So that worked. That worked well. If I were to set the reward of extra profits to 1, the word, then that is that correct? For a bad integer? Yeah, it is. That's correct. If I miss 1, also usage. If I said -1, level is invalid. Now that I'm looking at that, actually, I should probably send level is invalid for all cases where the level is invalid. and save the usage for if you miss a parameter. All right. And then the last one is if I don't have a corporation, which is hard for me to do. I guess also an invalid reward. That's not a great description. All right, well, let's fix it a little bit. Reward does not exist. Instead of the root. I'm used to .NET, where exceptions by default are a little bit more verbose than that. Okay, there we go. Cool. So that looks good. And that's back up there. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to call it then, because we made some good progress today. Added some commands, made some blocks work, fix our events. I'm going to add commands to add profit and stuff like that later. I think right now that should be good though. Cool. Thanks for joining me. I'm planning to stream at about 2 o'clock every day, 2 to 2:30. Hopefully for about 2 hours a day. We got cut a little short today because we finished a little earlier. Join me here on twitch.tv, twitch.tv/pkmnfrk. You can also join me on YouTube at youtube.com/pkmnfrk. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike_Caron, C-A-R-O-N. You can, that's about it actually. You might see me around on the Feed the Beast Reddit sometimes. Yeah, that's about it. Cool, I'll see you guys later. Cheers.